Dear viewers, welcome to the first webinar of the webinar series Essay Contest Winners Forum, facilitated by the Goi Peace Foundation. My name is Patrick Petit, a Goi Peace Foundation staff member based in Munich, Germany. I have the privilege to be the moderator of this webinar today. The Goi Peace Foundation commemorates this year the 20th anniversary of the International Essay Contest for Young People. Since its launch in 2000, a creative global community of innovative essay contest winners emerged out of this contest. Many of the winners are pursuing various paths in life and are continuing to make a difference in the world. 2 decades of the International Essay Contest for Young People marks therefore a welcoming opportunity to further get inspired by these great minds. In alignment with this year's Essay Contest theme, the first webinar addressed the universal value of kindness and asked, kindness, what is this anyway? In that respect, we have the great honor and privilege for having among us 4 distinguished previous first prize essay contest winners who serve today as panelists in the webinar. So my question is, what are you doing in life nowadays after you won the first prize of the International Essay Contest?
Well, you know, winning the essay competition in 2007 changed my life. Writing about the theme at that time, amplifying peace across borders, made me really think about the direction of my life as well. So soon after the competition, I applied to take my master's degree in journalism in the UK, just because I thought that, you know, the theme of the essay is exactly what I want to do in life. It's amplifying the good deeds that people are doing to help others or to bring about peace. And after I graduated, I started working for the World Bank as a communications officer. And that meant going to various places around the world like Thailand and Kenya and other places, really to write and tell stories about the good things people are doing. At the moment, since it's been 12 years, I'm in sabbatical from that work because I have a baby and I'm expecting another one in the way. So I'm a young mom right now, looking to get back to that work eventually, but my children keep very busy. Patrick.
Thank you. So Mihai, what are you doing in life nowadays after you won the first prize of the International Essay Contest?
Thank you very much. I have won the essay contest in 2005, so it's already 14 years. I was a teenager at that time, and now I'm a public servant here in the Republic of Moldova. I work as a head of international cooperation and exchange of information unit. I'm very keen to my activity and to the fact that we are in the work of the taxpayers and we are trying to do our society better. In parallel, after graduating the school, I have graduated 2 master's degrees, and I hope that in November I will graduate the PhD also in international economic relations.
Thank you. And Anjali.
Hi, so I won the contest in 2012 and it has been 7 years. So I was in the 4th year in my university when I was in Japan, and that was a very crucial point in my life that I was about to start working as a professional. So that really served as an inspiration, and that kind of provided me as a guiding principle, like where should you go? Should you take the traditional path or should you do something exceptional? So after graduation, I worked in international development for 5 years, and now I'm doing a master's at the London School of Economics. And next year, I'm going to start another MBA in Oxford. So this is where I am trying to make a difference in my small ways.
Thank you, this is great. And Rogers.
as I was saying right now, I'm an executive director and the founder of Journey House Africa as a nonprofit, and we are focusing on unity and reconciliation, but also peace building within communities. We are also focusing on nurturing young children within a peaceful environment. Given our history of Rwanda, of the Rwanda genocide against the Tutsis of 1994, you find it a crucial aspect today to make sure that the young people are having nurtured since the young stages into what we call a peaceful world. So we have trainings of the children, but also we have in programs that bring them together through gardening, through sports, after school programs that bring the children together. So with that organization, that's what we're trying to do. We're leading that pathway now, mostly with the children.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the four of you, for introducing yourself. So now, as a second part of the introduction, more specific also questions, can you briefly share with the viewers what specific memory or memories do you have when you look back at winning the prize and coming to Japan for the awarding ceremony and those days where you came to Japan to take your first prize of the essay contest? Anjali?
Sure, I can go. So it was 7 years ago, and when I look back, I could still feel the nervousness and the exciting feeling that I was in front of such a distinguished audience. That was a room full of people, and probably that's the most distinguished audience you can ever dream of. Everyone's listening to you, appreciating you, and it was so diverse. Coming from Bangladesh, that was an amazing experience for me. And I realized that we share a lot more common among us, no matter which country we are from, or whether you are an ambassador, or whether you are a president, or you are just a student, just a teenager. It doesn't really matter, but there are some things, some feelings in common, that we all want peace, that we all value each other. So those are the commonalities that we don't usually see in our daily lives, or when we meet each other, or when we read about different people on newspapers. But when you meet them in person, and when someone really high profile comes up to you and say that your essay brought tears in my eyes, that really makes a difference. That changes something inside you, and you can feel that, we all are human beings, no matter what designation we have, or who we are, or which country, which passport we have. But there are some things that are truly unique to human beings in general. So that is a moment that really stayed with me.
Thank you, Anjali. Who would like to be next? Rogers?
For me, it was in 2013. So looking back to that time, really, it was an exciting moment. My first flight ever in life, so that was amazing too. So it was an exciting moment, but at the same time, there was a very big question about who we are and where we come from and what we are trying to bring on table of where we are going. So to me, I was going to Tokyo, but my question to myself was, is it that you're just going to go to Tokyo and come back? But my biggest point was sharing my story, my many other stories of different people from my country. So when I got there, it was an amazing environment, you know, straight from the airport to where we had to go. I really enjoyed the peaceful environment that I got. I realized that it was very imperative to be peaceful, not only in Rwanda, but actually also in the other side of the world, whether in Asia or whether in Africa. I realized there were different change makers that were willing to join hands to work with different edges, like there was no limit on what peace had to do in everyone's lives. I realized it was as imperative to me as a kid from a genocidal impacted country, but also to change the story that Rwanda is no longer about only genocide, but it's about a number of things today that we are living. Because there's one you talk about Rwanda and everyone feels like, oh, that genocide country. No. So I had a moment to share that Rwanda is no longer about genocide. It's about 64% women in the parliament, world is leading record. It's about a number of things. It's about growth. It's about economy. It's about the African giants today. So for me, the biggest moment was that time where I was sharing the story of Rwanda with the different people, but specifically at the Takugei University high school that we went to, where I was sharing with the young people. For me, that was the changing moment, because I like sharing with the young people and sharing our story. You know, when people get to share our story, sometimes they share it wrong. But then when we share it ourselves, it feels more real to the people that you meet.
Anne?
I remember being incredibly nervous on stage. I had the most amazing stage fright. But you know, that aside, I remember that the Goi Peace Foundation arranged a dinner with the young volunteers and other youth leaders from prefectures around Japan to have dinner after the awarding ceremony. And as a young person, I really enjoyed that, because of course I was happy about reading my essay and about winning. But that night, it just felt good to share that happiness with other young people, and you know, to talk about our lives over good food and drink, and to make new friends. And it was also mostly Japanese, but also an international group of young people. So yeah, that's a memory that stuck with me the most.
Thank you, Anne. And Mihai?
I remembered it like it was yesterday, even if it was 14 years ago already. When I came in Japan, I was 15 years old at that time. We could say that I was a greenhorn at that time. And only after years, I do realize the impact which that thing had over my personality as a human being. Probably it helped me to believe in myself, to believe in my forces. There I had the opportunity to meet the royal family, to meet that great personalities like Mikhail Gorbachev and others which were at that forum. Actually, it was a cultural impact at that time, because from my point of view, afterwards, for sure, I have visited many of countries from Europe, from Asia, United States, and so on and so forth. But at that time, when I saw Tokyo, as it was in 2004, it was like 30 years beside all the other countries. It was a great experience, and the most important for me was the fact that those persons which were near the stage were interested in hearing my message. And for me, it was that possibility to bring them my message. And one thing which I cannot understand till nowadays is why my essay was chosen from those 2,000 of participants, because I'm quite sure that all their stories were good and their message was really strong. But I'm for sure very happy and thankful to the Goi Peace Foundation, not for just giving me the chance to be there, but also for having these incredible opportunities for other children and young people to participate and to bring their message to such a big audience.
Thank you so much to all of you for sharing your experience and stories while being in Japan during those days when you received the first prize of the International Essay Contest for Young People. Moving now to today's theme, kindness. What is it anyway? The motivational writer, Roy T. Bennett, author of the publication The Light in the Heart, once said, and I quote, "Attitude is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Optimism is a choice. Kindness is a choice. Giving is a choice. Respect is a choice. Whatever choice you make makes you. Choose wisely." End of quote. Is kindness a choice we have to make, or rather an innate, natural human characteristic which defines us as human species? What is kindness anyway? So I ask each panelist the following questions. What does kindness mean to you personally? How would you characterize kindness? So who of you wants to start? So Mihai, please.
What is kindness? Well, from my point of view, it is the way when you treat someone as you want it to be treated. Kindness is a thing which you are doing and waiting nothing back. As I told you, being in the public administration and tax administration in my case, kindness is that you are fulfilling somebody's expectations, in our case, taxpayers. But beside that, with the help of our management and the entire tax administration staff, at this moment we are 1,800. We have different activities during the year. We have two big activities. This is for the Christmas, for the New Year's Eve, and for the Easter. What does it mean? It means that when I came to the tax administration, it was in 2013. We have started already those activities. We are taking care of an old foster care and also of orphanages, children's orphanages. In our society, these two big events as Christmas and Easter are very important because this is a family event. The fact that we are doing inside our administration is that we are collecting funds. Well, everybody is donating how much does it want. We are buying different stuff for kids, for old foster care, and we are going there. And the fact is not that they are receiving some hygienical stuff or maybe some sweets for kids or maybe some kind of refrigerated TV sets and so on and so forth. The fact is that they feel that joyness when somebody is near them. And when you have those smile faces, even if outside is -15 or -20 in the Christmas Eve, it's such a great feeling. And the thing is that we are not mediatizing it in any way. We are doing this just for ourselves. We may put just several photos on our intranet of our tax administration to bring those beautiful moments also and to share them with our colleagues. Because as I told you, we are participating with the entire body, with the entire tax administration. For example, last act of kindness we had last month when we have the Easter here in the Republic of Moldova. We managed to visit 4 locations, one in the north, one in the south, one in the center, and one in the capital city of the Republic of Moldova. And we wanted to expand this activity yearly and to try to involve more places. Because as I told you, it's not a problem of money, because for sure, they are receiving all their needed stuff from the government yearly, but the fact is bringing them their emotional feelings to those persons who are living or inhabiting in those places. And this for sure will bring back the needed effect. I'm quite sure about this.
Thank you, Mihai. Anjali, please.
Yes. So I think for me, kindness means being a giver without the expectation of receiving, or without even thinking about it, whether I'm going to give it back or not. So in the world, I mean, we are living in this place where everyone or most of the people are talking about receiving or trying to maximize their benefit. And particularly my background was in business. So I really observed how people are just trying to maximize individual gain everywhere, be it in the business, be it in personal life, be it in the society. Everywhere it's about me, me, and me. Like, you know, what am I going to get? What's in it for me? So to me, kindness is the opposite of that. When you are giving, it actually, it's most of the time, it doesn't cost anything. Personally, I used to work in international development. So a lot of my work involves going to the rural areas, working with extremely poor women or working with teenager girls. So beyond the services, beyond the products that we were giving to them, I felt that the most impactful memories that I have about my work was those moments when we were having just a small, silly conversation, like, what did you have for lunch today? Or just when I was coming back, giving them a hug and seeing them smile. That hug, it's not going to solve poverty. It's not going to give them their next meal, but that means something. That says them that as a person, we are on the same page, no matter whether I'm rich, you are poor, or where we are coming from, but we share something in common. I value you, I care for you. To me, that is kindness, that giving, just giving out love, affection, your time. These days when we all love to be glued to our smartphones all the time, like literally the world has transferred from the real world to the online world. We think that, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm enjoying, but there are people, like there are real people around you. For me, paying attention to them, giving time to the real people compared to the gadgets that we have, to me, that is kindness.
Thank you. Rogers.
To me, kindness is always been an inclusive way of selfless beings that give, not expectant of getting. I've used the word inclusive, but usually in our communities, it means there are some people or there's some environmental aspects that are not included into kindness as a whole concept. When I say inclusion, still, it doesn't necessarily mean it's just human being. I'm also looking at the environment. Inclusion varies from not only human beings, but then it goes ahead and looks at everything within the environmental or the ecosystem. For me, and also in what we're trying to train our young children, is that kindness is not only for human beings, it's for every single living living environment also, but also the human beings, but also the animals, the ecosystem itself. So everything in the ecosystem is really, really needing that part of the kindness. So in everything that we've been doing in my project, we make sure that environment is also we are being kind also to the environment. We're being kind to the human beings. And we train this to our young children. We make sure they touch the soil and they feel it. And they feel how peaceful it gets when you touch the environment, when you touch the green, when you get to be within the gardens. So we actually treasure so much of that time. And for us, we also have a belief, which is also very biological, that trauma can be passed on from mother to child. So many of our mothers are traumatized from the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. So they've passed on trauma to the children. There's no early detection for these traumas. So we are trying to use the kindness that we've brought to this community, to these the young children, to specifically make sure that we bring them also to the environment to see that therapy can be done within when they're touching the green, when they're touching the environment. So for us, it's an inclusion, whether you're disabled, whether you're marginalized group, which we do so much in Africa, of marginalized groups, women being part of it too. They were not, the culture never talked about women being respected in our cultures. So it should be an inclusive way of giving selflessly, not anticipating to get anything, but an inclusion to us means everything included within the ecosystem, the environment too.
Thank you, Rogers. And Anne, please.
Yes. So to me, kindness means being mindful or aware about what other people may need, or what you can do to lighten their burden. And to do this, it's tapping into the very best of yourself, and the very best of ourselves is, our compassion and our talents, and it's using that to help other human beings, the animals, and as Roger mentioned, the entire ecosystem. What kindness means to me personally, it's interestingly, it was when I became a mother, which was last year, that I truly reflected on kindness in two ways. One is because I have a young child, and he's very adorable, but sometimes, he can be also very needy and annoying, but he can't help it because he's a baby. It's because he's sleepy, or he's tired, or for some other reason. And I never take it personally. The babies do things that we don't understand. And I thought that, it's the same with grown-ups. Sometimes we don't know what they're going through, what kind of problems they have at work, with their families, or at home. So, if we could treat strangers the way we could treat young children, then I think our relationships with each other would be just better. And the second way is, now that I'm a mom, I'm thinking about something one of my favorite authors said, Kurt Vonnegut, who said, "There's only one rule on earth, babies, and that's to be kind." And I thought, okay, I have to teach my son how to be a kind human being. But how do I do that when it's such a broken world where there might be people who take advantage of that kindness? And what I've come to realize is that it's actually very compatible to be kind and not have people take advantage of you. This might be controversial, but I think that, like people who are aware that they're being taken advantage of, or somehow it's damaging to them personally, when they try to help, it's almost like they do it for approval or self-gratification, and that's actually selfish and wrong. I think that you have to respect people just as you respect yourself. So there's a way of setting boundaries and being firm, and also be compassionate. And that's what I aim to teach my son.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, in the words of theologian and human rights activist Desmond Tutu, as I quote him, he said, "Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world." End of quote. So in that spirit, how do you think we as a collective, from your point of view, how can we create a kind of society? Is it within our country, within our community, within our continent, and even around the world globally, at a global scale? This is my question to you. Who wants to start? So I have you on the big screen. So Anne, if you want to.
So I mentioned earlier that you only have to watch the news or read the news, read it on the internet to know that there's a lot of brokenness in the world, that we have a lot of leaders, unfortunately, because it gains approval or media attention. They tend to act more like entertainers or action stars. So it's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I'm going to take revenge against our enemies, like of a different religion, or it can be an individual or a different race. The thing is, we don't have to be that way. Like, we can't do anything to change our leaders or other people, but in our own personal lives, we can be kind. And I think that, one, when we're kind, there's a ripple effect. People become kinder because they've been kind too. And the second thing is, when we become kind to people, we realize that we're human, and other people are human. They make mistakes, and we make mistakes. So once we're able to forgive other people of their transgressions, then we're able to forgive ourselves and have that expectation too that we all make mistakes, and we're just here to really help each other. I think we have to live our lives knowing that we should never ever be a threat to any other human being, whatever race, religion, nationality. We should never be a threat to animals or our planet. And if we all live that way, I think it'd create a more peaceful, kinder society. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anjali?
So for me, it really goes back to something Patrick mentioned at the very beginning, that kindness is a choice, and also what Roger said about the relationship between kindness and inclusion. I don't see it as a binary problem that people are either kind or very unkind. We all know that as human beings, we are kind to some people. Maybe we are super kind to our kids, but not kind to the person who's begging on the street. Our looks change when we look at our mother versus when we look at a poor woman, maybe. So I question myself, why is it that we are so selective? Why do we calculate before, saying a good thing to someone? It doesn't cost anything. So I think if we can really understand the value of inclusion, that no matter who you are, you deserve kindness. We all should be equally kind to everyone, whether you are a person in my own family, whether you are a person who I have never seen before, or maybe it's just being more kind to you. So I think it really comes down to not being selective at all. So if you can be kind, please do be kind. And in 21st century, it's really a shame that we have achieved so much in terms of economic growth and technological advancement. We really have the option to be kind. We don't have to fight with each other to get a piece of meal in most cases, in most of the world. But still, people are not happy. People are not happier. People are not kinder. So I question myself, is it really a problem? Is it really a natural problem, or is it a man-made problem? Are we make lives too difficult for ourselves? So I think it's a matter of choice. Like, if we choose to be kind, there are no other restrictions or limitations or whatever it is that can prevent us from being kind.
Thank you, Anjali. Mihai, how do you think
you.
about the kind of society?
Actually, I have a second job. I'm a university teacher here at the Free University of Moldova. When we have time and we are discussing these things with math students, I was wondering all the time when they are complaining on something, or maybe annoying on something, on the university staff, on the government, on the society, on the technology, and so on and so forth. I was wondering what would they do when they are in the, or if they act as another person. And probably I will go back with what we have discussed before that, and just without talking, just try to do something by yourself, not waiting that someone will do something for you. Because a smile doesn't cost a thing, a good word doesn't cost a thing. And if you start by your own example from yourself, then it as a chain will improve your society as a whole. And you must be as an example for the others, and not to wait the others be the leaders in your side. So that's how I do see it in the future.
Thank you, Mihai. And Roger, what?
Thank you. I think yesterday when we had rehearsals, I mentioned a little bit about the dialogues that we have on the African continent, specifically on peace building within the Great Lakes region. And then the Great Lakes region is talking about, you know, Rwanda, Congo, Uganda, Tanzania, you know, Central African Republic, all these different countries. So I mentioned a little bit about when we had the dialogue of do you believe Africa can achieve peace? One of the gentlemen said there is no possibility because the world is full of people who are not kind. And I agree. The world is always going to be having people who are not kind, but then it still starts with you. Do you want to be kind? And I'll go with what Mihai said and what my other sisters also said, that, you know, kindness is great, but it needs to start with you. You need to be kind to yourself first, you know, and then you get to be kind to other people. There is always a possibility that someone realizes that it's imperative for me to be kind. But maybe sometimes they don't know how to go about it. So it is very important that we understand that as much as kindness is very, very paramount for every society, for every community, not everyone is going to be kind. But then we're going to recommend everyone who is kind. Mihai, Anjali, Anne, Patrick, you know, mention everyone. Everyone has a role to play. To train, to be kind to other people. Be kind to Mihai. I am kind today because I've received a number of different people who were kind to me. So those were lessons to me that I'm probably sharing the same kindness that was being shared to me to more other and other and other. So it goes like a chain. And it's not always going to be like that. You might be kind to someone when they're not willing to be kind to some other people. See, we don't have control over that. But one thing we are sure of is that don't hesitate to share the kindness that you have within you to these other people. It might give them so many other reasons to share the kindness to other communities or to other people as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So therefore, I ask all the four of you, do you remember an act of kindness lately, maybe even today or yesterday? You can remember which really make an impact on you as well as on the receiver of your kind action? A very brief example to share with the audience. Rogers, if you're here, you can.
Community, our culture is very much oriented on drinking milk. And if I had an issue with Anjali, anything from a cow in my culture is very important. If I had a conflict with you and we get to a settling where we share a glass of milk, we are good and would never, ever have any more conflicts. That's how much big it is. So yesterday, we have a school, an early childhood development center of 113 children. We gave them milk yesterday. And we talked about this as well, how important milk is in our culture, but also transcending and sharing the message of peace to the children. So it was an act of kindness to the most vulnerable children in Bugesera district yesterday, in Gashora, in our school called, it is a school called the Journey of Success, Early Childhood Development Center. So it is in Gashora, and that was just yesterday. We do this every week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anjali, what latest act of kindness have impact on you to perform?
Sure. So yesterday, one of my friends, she was coming to London, and she lives there, but she lives here, but she went home for a couple of weeks. So for no reason, I decided to clean up her room before she comes in. And it was a nicely prepared room, and I also cooked food for her, and it was a surprise. She wasn't expecting food or a clean room, because she left the room like a mess that we all do when we are in a hurry. So you can imagine that you just had a 20-hour long journey and you enter your room and it's like made for you. So it's not the room, it's not the food. I mean, she could have bought food outside and eat it on her own, but just the fact that someone made the home a real home for you, someone cared enough to think about you and understand, oh, you must be tired and you would be hungry. And, it's just showing that you love a person, you care for a person. So I think, I don't know how much she loved it, how was the cooking, but I am enjoyed. I felt part of the process. It made a difference in her day probably, but it surely did make a difference in my day.
Thank you, Anjali. And Anne, what was your latest act of kindness that had an impact on you?
I can't remember my latest act of kindness. But what I'd like to talk about briefly is the act of kindness that really showed me the ripple effect that kindness can do. And this was in 2013 when there was a super typhoon that hit the Philippines, Typhoon Haiyan. It was the worst in our history, one of the worst in the world actually in the past decade. And I was in Thailand at that time, living and working, but devastated by the news. And I don't know why I did it, but the next day, I just never did anything like this before. I started collecting donations outside one of the busiest train stations in Bangkok. And anyway, to make a long story short, I don't think they've ever seen like a foreign person do that. So it hit the news back in the Philippines and in Thailand as well. And after that, people just started reaching out to me asking how can we help the relief effort. And since I'm from the Philippines, I did know the organizations that were really working on the ground, and I was able to connect foreign communities in Thailand to that work. So again, this wasn't my intention. It was actually a bit selfish. It was because I was personally like feeling bad and devastated, and I just wanted to help in a way. And the outcome was just enormous. The amount of like cash donations that people gave just standing outside the train station, to, you know, what the more seasoned campaigners who were my friends did after that, like telling me, oh, it's because you did that immediately, we were inspired to do this. So yeah, there.
Thank you. Mihai.
The last act which I remember took place last week. Actually, we have organized a sports competition for our colleagues outside the capital city. There were 3 days. So we took 120 participants at those sports competition. For sure, it was free of charge for them. Everything was included. We have done it with the support of our management and several of our colleagues. It was very interesting. The aim of this was to make a team building, to include all those persons and to increase the relationship between our colleagues. Also, we had disco at the end in the evenings. I was a DJ actually. But beside that, from my point of view, this event all together with those events with the orphanage, with the old foster care, we are trying to destroy those stereotypes, you know, that tax officers are not just taking, but they're also a giver, because beside those positions could be a really kind persons. And another thing are the donations. Actually, from my point of view, monthly when I do see some kind of advertisements of illness or maybe some natural catastrophe and so on, I don't know why, because I don't know those people, but I just simply donate even a small part of my income due to the fact that I'm putting myself in the place of those families or those persons, and I just cannot cross near. That's how I am. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your stories and your insights. So kindness is all around us, right? We only have to try and perform a small act of kindness to impact someone's life and the whole of society. So before wrapping up today's webinar, I kindly request each one of you to address briefly a message of encouragement and empowerment to the viewers of today's webinar, including to young people who would like to submit their entries to this year's International Essay Contest for Young People, as well as to the distinguished members of the Goi Peace Foundation. So I would like to ask Anjali, you know, to start with, which message you want to convey to the audience today?
I think I'll say something that I practice personally, because don't say what you don't practice. So I believe in the saying that if you receive something, pay it forward. In my life, I have received lots of support from different people in different forms, and support doesn't always come in the form of money. It can be just a word. It can be just a simple connection. It can be a letter of recommendation in professional setting. It can be just giving you one piece of information that might be extremely important for you, just giving you direction when you are lost. So I feel that often we tend to take credit for our achievements as if the achievements came from nowhere, that as if I am this like extremely talented person and I'm the winner of Goi Peace as a contest and I have done this and that, all those shiny, brilliant things. But we tend to forget that there are millions of people, there are lots of people behind us who fed us, who supported us, who sheltered us. So I feel that if there's one thing I can say particularly to the young people, that would be just keep in mind that you are not someone hanging there in the air. You are not someone who's living in isolation, and you have this responsibility to pay it forward. So just keep that in mind.
Thank you, Anjali. Mihai. Like
I'm addressing everyone watching us, children and young people around the world. Please, please don't waste your time. You have to move on to make the difference. to be a leader, to inspire the other people, to inspire your friends, your family, and why not the entire society, to make your and even my life better.
Thank you, Mihai. And Rogers, what do you like message you want to convey to the viewers, to young people as well, to the members of the Goi Peace Foundation, and to the whole world?
The world, the young people in the world, the young leaders of today should know the world here that we see was made like this, but so many grand ancestors of ours. But then they always leave us a homework to make it a better place. There's no way we're going to make it a better place when we cannot do what Goi is doing, trying to change this world through sharing message, through share the selflessness that Goi Peace Foundation is doing to make sure that the young people across the globe have a chance to share their voice. Give a chance to whether lamb, to whether poor, to whether rich, to whoever in this world. Give a chance inclusively and selflessly to everyone to receive at least a spotlight of kindness. Be kind to the ecosystem. Be kind to the whole environment. Be kind to individuals. But after all, be kind to yourself. Be good, but make sure you leave this world a better place than you found it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rogers. And Anne?
Yes. Well, what I want to tell our viewers is that your ideas and your self-expression is super important, and you deserve to be heard, to be read. So joining this essay competition is a great way to share your brilliant, interesting ideas with us and the rest of the world. And I look forward to reading those essays, actually. Congratulations to Goi for providing this amazing platform to, for young people to be heard. And, you know, even beyond Goi, you know, if you write an essay and it doesn't win, it still deserves to be read and shared. So you have to find a platform for it. And we're super excited to read your work.
Thank you very much, Anne. And thank you also, Anjali, Mihai, and Rogers, for sharing your great experiences and also your moving stories, and for inspiring us and also all the viewers with your insights and your wisdom. So as a Frenchman, I say merci beaucoup pour votre gentillesse, so for your kindness. So finally, I would like to remind the young viewers that the deadline for this year's essay contest is June the 15th, 2019. So you have less than 2 weeks to submit your entries. And you can find the full guidelines of this International Essay Contest on the Goi Peace Foundation website. So our next webinar will be in July 2019, and details will be announced on our website as well as on our Facebook page. So thank you to all of you for watching, and I hope you will join us again next time.